Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this first stakeholder meeting of the Step Up project. I'm Ana Granados, the director of IFAF, one of the partners of this project, and happy to welcome you this morning to engage with you. This is the agenda for today. We will have some insights about this. About the project from the European Commission, from Valerio ABBADESSA. After the coordinator of the Step Up will explain the aim, the context and the aim of the project, and we will go through the first step and what is up in a Step Up. We will have time for questions and answers, and the coordinator of Step Up will make the conclusive remarks afterwards. So we are expected to finish in 1 hour and a half. So as I said, I'm the director of IFAF, one of the partners. We're involved in many different projects. We are in between research and private sector. And I would like to remind you the house rules. If you have any questions to the panelists, there is a QA box. Please use it only to ask questions to the panelists. If you have any technical problem, use the chat box. Okay, please make this difference, or you can also mail to the IFAF email address. The webinar is recorded and we will be shared in our social media, in the website of the project probably too. And without more introduction, you have here the QR code to join our stakeholder list, all the social media in which we are involved, and the logos of the partners of a Step Up. And yes, I will give the floor directly to Valerio, so we can take a bit of the time for the rest and for the discussion. Valerio, I think you are there.
Yes, hello. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Yes,
we can
so.
hear you.
Yeah,
I cannot
perfect.
see you, but yes,
Okay,
I'm sharing
perfect.
the screen, so it's a bit complicated.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you
Thank
also
you.
for the invitation. Well, let's say that I've been asked to say a few words about the background and the context of this project of Step Up. In a few minutes, let's say, well, first of all, we should consider the science to policy framework, where there is the need to provide concrete evidence to answer policy needs, no? And this is something that was also highlighted by our Director General, who is, let's say, a great supporter of livestock. So there are a number of policies which are important. I'm not going to mention them, but at least the Green Deal and the CAP. So this is one of the reasons why the AGRI requires such a topic and such a project. Then we should probably go back to the title of the call that bring to the project to Step Up. No, the title was Towards Sustainable Livestock System. For evidence building and transition policy. So first of all, the term sustainability is important because first of all, there is a lack of, let's say, universally accepted definition of sustainability. And there are several models that are embedded in this term. So this is important. This means that achieving an alignment, let's say, on the concept of sustainability is crucial, no? Ensuring that all the dimensions of sustainability, the 3 dimensions, are considered. At the same time, it's important to define clear criteria to measure sustainability, which is essential. I mean, there are several life cycle assessment proposed, which are important tools, but there is also a great diversity of models for different types of systems. No? Another aspect, the second aspect, but not less important, that brought out to this topic and to this project is the perception, let's say, of consumer different stakeholders on different problems and opportunity for the livestock sector, on the identification of the farming system we would like to have, on how far we are from having an agreement, a political and social agreement on a common vision on the future of livestock, etc. There is a certain polarization within the sector with different views, but I mean, we are to try to find a solid scientific base and a consensus. Another aspect, maybe the third aspect, is the complexity of the sector, because the sector it's in the middle of different pressures and social expectation. It's at the center of debates on sustainability. So it's a complex sector that involve different type of production, intensive, extensive, including organic. So, and with different challenges that I mentioned before. Another aspect, the fourth aspect, let's say, is the impacts and the externalities. On one hand, the livestock sector we know is a source of greenhouse gas emission, and some farming practices have negative impact on water and soil, etc. But on the other hand, there are also systems that provide positive environmental externalities. I'm not going to mention all of them here. So these positive effects really depend on the type, not only on the context, the geographic or climatic context, but depend also on the intensity of the livestock farming, on the use of the land, etc. So efficient measurement benefits from taking into account all this multifunctional use of the livestock. And there is the need to investigate these positive and negative externalities. If you had a look at what was provided recently, a couple of weeks ago, the strategic dialogue for the future of agriculture, even if it comes after the topic, after the launch of this project, I mean, an entire chapter is dedicated to the sustainable animal farming with positive and negative externalities. So we anticipated a bit. Another aspect are the synergies and the trade-off. So depending on the livestock sector approach to reduce emission and address specific externalities, it's important to address the synergy, to tackle the synergy and trade-off. It will be crucial to identify this synergy and trade-off, and to identify also the ways how to minimize them, and eventually possible synergies and win-win option. So we should take into account the different components in order to look at externalities, but also trade-off between livestock production, livestock management, environment, climate, and so far. So there is a need, let's say, to better harmonize and quantify the impact of mitigation action carried out at farm level, but not only, also at the local and regional level. So the scientific based evidence on these externalities, positive or negative, is, especially on the positive one, is missing. Data, comparable and sound data are important on these impacts and on these externalities. This means that we need, again, we reinforce the concept of scientific evidence across discipline, including also social science. In addition, other reflection are needed on which are the main barriers and incentives for increasing the uptake of these sustainable practices in the livestock sector, while minimizing or avoiding, let's say, the negative externalities. Reflection on the socio-economic perspective related to the change of practices that benefit environment, climate, etc. The ways, reflection on the ways to minimize trade-off and on the ways to maintain ecosystem services. So all those aspects have been mentioned in the expected outcomes of the call, which were and are mainly referring to data, to the quantitative and qualitative evidence, to recommendation and policy advice, to make the information more accessible, etc. Which are the future direction? Well, we are working not ourselves in our unit, but our colleagues working in policy, especially on the CAP. They are now working on the next, on the post-CAP, on the next CAP, post-27. So it's important to identify not only the environmental impact, but also the economics perspective related to change of the practices that benefit environment and climate. So what are the costs and benefits, and how are those distributed? Which are the effective measuring system applied at farm or local or regional level that could be eventually reproduced across member states? What should be the objective a European, let's say, social, economic, environmental sustainability transition in the livestock sector, which are the time frames. So these are all questions that we hope Step Up and other projects can provide some answer. And I think this is a very general overview. Thank you very much, Anne.
Thank you very much, Valerio. Very insightful overview to introduce the rest of the presentations. I'm going to share again my screen and introduce and give the floor to the next speaker. Yeah, sorry, Valerio, I had the IFAF logo with your name.
Don't worry.
I'm so sorry. So next speaker is David Aine from Teagasc. He's the coordinator of Step Up. David, he's around. Yeah, David, can you hear us? Okay, yes, super. The floor is yours. Just to ask me to go through the slides and
no problem. Thank you very much, Anna, and thanks very much also to Valerio, and I welcome everybody who has joined us this morning. So again, as Valerio has outlined, the Step Up project, would say entitled Sustainable Livestock Systems Transition and Evidence Platform and Upgrading Policy. You know, we feel, would say, is an extremely important project to add, I suppose, quantitative, monetized information, you know, ultimately for all, you know, stakeholders, but ultimately to inform policy, you know, for the support of the livestock industry. Just to mention, obviously, it's funded with, say, it's a Horizon Europe funded project and also with co-funding from UK Research and Innovation. So just as Valerio outlined, Step Up, it's a research and innovation action. So again, it's really very much test about developing new knowledge. And again, we'll get a flavor for that in some of the subsequent presentations from my colleagues. Valerio has already spoken about the specific tool, the specific call text, would say, for which we were would say, to propose this project. We have 16 partners representing 10 research providing organizations and 6 industry representative bodies. So very much holistic academic and industry project across 10 European countries. And again, Valerio highlighted the importance of geographical representation, you know, the different levels of intensity of livestock production systems across all the main species. So in terms of context, then, just briefly to outline, I suppose, why are we talking about the livestock industry? Why are we interested in it? Obviously, it's a major contributor, would say, to the European economy. For example, in 2022, it was worth over 2 billion, and livestock specifically worth about 40% of that total agricultural output. And as we've all heard so many times from the FAO and other bodies, by 2050, we expect the global human population to come close to 10 million people. So, you know, we also expect a significant increase in the demand for livestock-derived food products, particularly from the currently lesser developed world. Sustainable livestock-based systems, obviously, they can contribute, you know, principally to food security, but also to other really important socioeconomic elements in particular. And we feel that really would say they're totally consistent with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Obviously, the increasing sustainability and the overall resilience of, you know, a climate-friendly agricultural production system is absolutely key to, as Valerio mentioned, the European, the EU Farm and Fork Strategy, and also the 4 betters, you know, outlined by the FAO, which include better production, better nutrition for our human population, a better environment overall, and overall a better life, would say, expectancy for our human population. However, notwithstanding that, there are many challenges facing the development of a European livestock system, a sustainable European livestock system. Again, you know, in particular, would say that I suppose the greater demand, as I mentioned, would say, for livestock-derived food is going to bring with it particular challenges. You know, from an environmental point of view, from an intensive use of resources. We know, for example, that agriculture uses about 70% of the fresh water available on the planet. Ethical issues around animal welfare, and also perceived human health considerations of livestock-derived food. And again, we will address all of these issues, we'll say, in detail in Step Up. And the central problem is that most of these costs, as Valerio mentioned, are not monetized. So it's very difficult then for policymakers such as himself and his colleagues to actually, you know, to be able to prioritize and to assist, would say, with policy, you know, if we don't know, if we can't quantify or we can't monetize some of these externalities. So that's, again, a central tenet of Step Up. So overall objectives, as I say, are to measure the impacts and externalities of European livestock production systems, and ultimately to monetize these values, which can assist obviously with policy formulation. So we have a suite of different work packages, as we call them, would say, and again, these will be explained in a little bit more detail by some of my colleagues in subsequent presentations. But ultimately, there are 6 main research efforts within Step Up. The first really would say is, I suppose, mapping the current data gaps. What do we not know? What do we not know at the moment, would say, and what do we need to know essentially to progress, would say, with a more sustainable design of a more sustainable European livestock production system. To help us do that, we will then try to learn from existing innovative, and future-looking production systems. So again, we all know, across all the various species and across Europe in general, that there are many very proactive, would say, production systems being formulated, would say, and ongoing at the moment. What can we learn from these? And my colleague Aine will discuss in a little bit of detail later as to what we envisage in terms of trying to learn from existing, innovative systems. From that, then obviously we need to be able to quantify, would say, be able to measure, quantify, and be able to rank and compare systems equitably. And again, we need to have the specific tools and the indicators to do that, which can ultimately be translated to farm level and used again within a policy context. And again, the development of new indicators for sustainability and other externalities relating to livestock production is absolutely key and a core part of the Step Up project. Moving on from that, then, we were tasked, would say, to develop I suppose, methodologies, would say, to be able to assess the impact of livestock on the various externalities, not least of which would be the environment and biodiversity. And that's a key, I suppose, element of Work Package 4. Work Package 5 equally then, focuses really on the econometric element, would say, can we essentially aggregate all of these various positive and negative effects, potentially, would say, externalities of livestock production, and can we quantify the value of that, which again is absolutely core to policy formulation. And, moving finally then onto Work Package 6, which is really focused around policy formulation and the provision of tools to policymakers. So we'll move on, maybe, Anna, to the next one.
Yeah.
So again, we have many target groups, and we know from those that are registered and are online at the moment that they're well represented, we'll say, in today's audience. And these extend from farmers, farm gate, we'll say, pre and post farm gate suppliers, right through, would say, to policymakers, research institutions, obviously, would say, those involved in dissemination, of information across the entire food chain, and ultimately to the general public in terms of the consumers. So we want your input, would say, into our activities within Step Up. We're very fortunate in that Step Up is aligned to a number of other really key large projects within this greater, I suppose, sustainability of livestock space. And we have the coordinators, would say, of all of those projects, would say, very much involved, would say, in the Step Up project. So again, you get that whole anastomosis, so that linkage, would say, between efforts across these, publicly funded projects. And again, this today's first kickoff, essentially, would say, stakeholder engagement, initiative is absolutely key, and we will have this across different levels, for both, at a producer level, would say, consumer level, but also, would say, across, research conferences, would say. So a very much a tiered approach. I mentioned the partners there, and again, their logos are all there. So again, we very much value the very balanced, I suppose, approach, would say, in terms of the partners, what they can provide to us. And then finally, Anna.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we are a bit late already on schedule. Milica, Lauren, can you perhaps take the floor?
Yes, thank you.
Quickly, because we are already a bit late. Thank you very much.
Can I get slide?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Well, for the Step Up Sustainability Catalog, Step Up will include initial envisioned key project results. In this catalog, we will serve all identified target groups and relevant project partners, but most importantly, the policymaker who will be equipped with improved evidence-based support for decision-making. Since the number of other results are expected to be generated during the project, these results will also be created and assessed and possibly included in the catalog. As part of the step-up exploitation and sustainability strategy, further potential applications of the specific solutions will be explored in the private and in the public sector, such as for labeling and sustainable food sector. For our step-up sustainability catalog, we present 8 results. In first one, step-up will gather data and positive and negative impacts on externalities for the livestock sector, and we'll use that data for developing sustainable farming systems that will preserve biodiversity by minimizing pressure on ecosystems. For the second one, the archetypes will be stemming for mapping and analysis of recent foresight studies carried out at the European, national, and regional scales within the time horizon 2030 to 2050, considering impacts and externalities of livestock farming systems. In third, the national and the regional future vision and strategy paper will be collected, and analysis of commonalities, differences, and potential gaps will be conducted with specific attention given to trade-off and synergies. In fourth result, utilizing and co-creating approach, step-up will facilitate and the development of 2 metric and indicator metrics. One to demonstrate best practice to achieve and maintain sustainability across each dimension as social, environmental, and economic, and second one to control the feasibility and viability of the best practice. 5.1 will develop new indicators to allow objective assessment of the externalities of sustainable Alps, considering relevant value chain factors. In 6.1, case studies.
Milica, can you wrap up, please? Because all these things are going to be explained also by the speakers afterwards, what is as part of their work.
There are 2 more, so
please
I'm
go
finishing.
ahead.
Case studies of 15 identified Alps will be utilized to empirical assessed examples of sustainable practice and systems. And to address the need of step-up project, we'll use 2 models. The first model will be enhanced to reflect the diversity of livestock systems, and the second model will be enhanced to consider more practice scenarios related to Alps with the aim to assess them with a safe and just operating system, which will be discussed more later. And finally, step-up will create guidelines for sustainable transformation of Alps divided for in-depth case studies of Alps. The dashboard will develop and embed in the step-up website. And through dashboard information, step-up will facilitate data sharing, support evidence-based decision-making, and promote innovation and foster citizen engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Milica. So we are going to start now with the content of the project, what scientists are doing. And so for this, we welcome Arnd Bassler, and he is somewhere around. But Arnd, you are ready?
I'm here, yes.
Okay, I'm going to pin you.
Will you show the slides for me?
Yes, I will. You just have to say next if I'm not in the right one. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is yours. So Arnd will explain the first step, and he will really go to what has been doing. They are doing at this moment on mapping, what David explained before. Please, Arnd, go ahead.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, I'm working in work package 1 of Step Up, and this work package has the objective to provide results that will support the other work packages. So each task of work package 1 is linked with one of the following work packages. I will give now 3 examples to show what we have done in work package 1, and of course how you can get involved and how we wish you to be involved. Next slide, please. Exactly. Thanks. The first example is I will talk about types of livestock production systems across Europe that we try to create or identify or select. Because in order to be able to assess the impact of livestock production systems in Europe, you need first to know what systems you want to assess. How do the farms look like? Are they big or small? What type of animals do they have? Cows, pigs, chicken, for example. How are they housed? The animals, are they confined, or is it a free range system? And the approach of Step Up to this very complex question is that it tries to define types of livestock production systems that present livestock farming in Europe. So we don't look at existing farming systems, but we create ideal types. Oh, that was a bit too fast, Anna.
Oh, sorry.
I'm still on the last on the slide that presents the 3 examples.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
yes.
Already example.
I just wanted to introduce the 3 examples first, and then go to each of them step by step. The second example I want to present is our work on future scenarios for livestock production. As mentioned earlier by David, Step Up will not only assess existing livestock farming systems, but will also work with future scenarios of livestock farming. And the first step to do this is to look at existing future scenarios. So we collected scenario existing studies, publications from all over the European Union. And the third example is on innovations for livestock production. In his introduction, David also mentioned that we are not only looking at conventional average livestock production systems, but also at what we call ILPS. Milica used the name. That's our abbreviation for innovative livestock production systems or farms that are advanced, that are one step ahead in the development of technology or sustainability, for example. So I think ILPS will become the word of the year 2024. And as part of that third example, we try to answer the question, what are the most important innovations and what can we expect from them? And there we definitely really would like to hear your opinion. Next slide, please. So I will start with the first example, the types of livestock, a typology of livestock production systems. Next slide, please. And the objective, as I said, is to classify main types of livestock production systems. Because we cannot cover all types of farms that are around in Europe. Next slide, please. And this is how it is done. I will not go into detail of this table, just to give you 1 or 2 examples. So far, we identified 43 types. And you can, for example, take the first column that shows the livestock category, or the 9 different categories that have been selected, from dairy cattle at the top to broilers at the bottom. And then for each livestock category, there are different systems, like, for example, indoor systems or intensive systems. And in the third column, there's even another criterion that is further specifying the system. For example, large herds, small herds. And that shall be enough for this, just to give you an idea of how the whole thing is constructed. And now I would like to, with the next slide, I would like to show you a little bit more in detail how such a system, one of these 43 systems, could look like. And we chose 3 types from the total of 9 dairy cattle production systems that were identified. And the 3 types of systems are in the columns now, the purple color. And you can see that these are, if you look at the first column, you see herd size, milk yield, or the feed used. Those are the characteristics that describe the different types. Next slide, please. And then once the types are created, they can be, of course, located. And on this slide, you see how the livestock production system types are distributed geographically. Now, I want to say again that I tend to exaggerate maybe, but none of these types exists in reality. They are ideal types, ideal farm types that hopefully represent the reality of livestock farming in Europe. And this is my last slide for this example, and then we'll come to the next. So Step Up produced quite concrete results, as we find. By the way, together with the EU project Pathways that David also already mentioned earlier, but still we wish to hear your qualified opinions on this. For example, do the chosen production system types actually reflect reality sufficiently, or are relevant production system missing in our typology? Maybe you find that there's something very important missing and we should include it. Okay, thank you. This was example 1. Next slide, please. The other examples will be shorter. The second one is, as I said, on future scenarios for livestock production. Next slide, please. The objective is to identify scenarios, future scenarios for livestock farming that appear prominently in different publications. Next slide, please. So the method applied was to look at recent published foresight studies. And for all of you who are not dealing with foresight studies every day, what is a foresight study? It describes one or several possible scenarios for the future. And you probably all have heard about a scenario A, like, well, imagine in the future that livestock farming will be intensive, smart, green, and it will be based on precision livestock farming with sensors and robots and so on. And another maybe competing scenario could be, imagine for the future, all of livestock farming in Europe is extensive, free range, organic, local livestock farming. So this is what we understand by scenarios. Next slide, please. And we looked at almost 200 documents, and in these publications, between 1 and 8 scenarios were described. And on this map, you can see how many publications we found per member state or country. And there were 28 foresight studies in addition to that at European level. Next slide, please. And here we also, of course, also have questions to you. We would like to hear your input. First, there is an imbalance in the number of studies that we found. And our question to us is, can you help us find new foresight studies for 3 parts of Europe: Central Europe, Eastern Europe, Southern Europe? And second, do you find the foresight types that we selected useful to choose or design future livestock production systems, which will be a task later in Step Up? And I maybe have to say that I didn't present any 4 site types that we selected because they have not been selected yet, but the work is in progress. Also, this task is quite advanced, and we will, I hope I may say that we will have results in the autumn, which is very soon, which is already now, actually, as I just realized. And now I want to come to the last example. Innovations for livestock production, last but not least. The next slide, please. The objective is to identify the most important innovations in livestock farming that will improve sustainability in the coming 10 years. Next slide, please. And the method is a literature review and expert consultation. And we consider you, of course, as experts as well. So you are already part of the plan. Next slide, please. So far, we have identified 4 areas of innovations, and here you can maybe directly, spontaneously react for yourself or in the chat, whether you agree to this selection or whether you think that there's something really important missing. And the first area is around ICT, robotics, precision farming, and so on. The second one, where we think that we can expect innovations that will significantly contribute to the sustainability of livestock farming, is breeding and genetics. Then thirdly, animal nutrition and feed, including feed additives. And last but not least, big data and artificial intelligence. And our question to you now would be, and with this I'm already coming to the end. Next slide, please. Our questions regarding the innovations would be first, question 1, what do you think are the most important innovations to improve the sustainability of livestock farming in the coming 10 years? Do you agree that these 4 areas are the most promising ones, or do you have a different opinion? And secondly, which is maybe even more difficult to answer, what potential impact will these innovations have? What do you think? What do you estimate? What is your opinion? And I think for these questions, we are particularly interested in input from people like you, who have a background with who have a connection to business and to practical background. So these are the 3 examples for fields we are currently working on, and to which we would very much welcome your contribution. Last slide, please. So I always said we are working on it, but I am working only on a very small part of it, to be honest. So these are the names and contact details of my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Arnd, for a very comprehensive presentation of the ongoing work of Step Up, so the first steps. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and give the floor to my colleague Remark. He's going to just removing the pin from Arnd. He's going to share with you some questions. So there will be a QR code. And in the meantime, I'm going to respond to Diana. Yes, Diana, we know. Thank you very much for being volunteer. And yeah, thank you. We will take into consideration your inputs, and we will contact you for further ones. So, Remark, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning, everyone. So this is the tool. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes. So this is a tool used today for our interactive session. So you can both scan the QR code on the left of the screen, or in the chat box, you have the link so you can access it through your laptop. We will start with some icebreakers. So to map a little bit who is here today, we wanted to ask you what country you represent. you should first, of course, register and insert your email and organization, and then you can reply easily to the question.
And you can also put EU. You don't have to say Belgium if you are located in Brussels. I suppose you know, but.
So we will wait for you.
Yes, it takes a bit of time to register. So I skip these questions before. Don't be shy, because this is really the aim of today is to engage with you, to hear from you. You already see some of the questions. So some of the questions from Arnd, and we have more pools to ask you, and we will go back to you after the webinar of today. Someone raised her hand. So whilst responding to the next question, I will give you the floor. But yes, that's let's wait for this one. I think you can move to the next question.
Next one. So here you should be able to pick one or more options from the question, and what is the species of your expertise.
You can say many of them.
Yeah.
It's a multi-choice question.
You can also select all of them, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we had a lot of dairy at the beginning, but yeah, the other species coming. Please go ahead and vote. I mean, this is the purpose, to engage with you and to hear from you. What do you think about the European livestock systems?
I think we can move to the next.
Yes.
So it's the first poll, and it will include also Arnd's questions, so we can track your answers here. So what are the most important innovations to improve the sustainability of livestock farming in the coming 5 to 10 years, in your opinion?
You should be able to write some words about. Okay, there was one question, if I'm not mistaken. One person raising hand. I cannot see it anymore, but whilst responding to this poll, to this question, please, I can give the floor to this person.
I think it's Graham with the raised hand.
Yeah, but I cannot see it anymore in my Zoom.
Yeah. Graham, you should have your mic on now.
And of course, don't hesitate to add questions in the box, question and answers. Okay.
So we're getting more and more.
Yes.
In the meantime.
Okay. Well, I hope that the IFAF team is not voting because breathing is in the middle. I haven't. So, because this is what we do the rest of the time when we are not involved in European projects. So we represent animal breeders in Brussels and scientists. But they are very interesting. There's a lot of feed efficiency too. It is not, a lot of feeding is not right in the same way. So that's why it doesn't appear in the middle. Also animal welfare. A lot of new technologies. Okay.
Okay.
I think we can move. We are now, thanks to Arnd, we are 5 minutes in advance.
Anna, Graham
Yes.
is raising his hand again.
Okay. I cannot see this. Hans, I'm sorry. Graham, you can take the floor. I was asking for you.
I will try to open his microphone. Remark, can you help? Because I'm trying to unmute, but well, I think you can talk
It
now.
should be, the conversation is allowed, so I think.
In the meantime, you should not remember the questions from Arnd in his slides. He's asking for studies and to know if what he was presenting was precise or correct. And we will make a follow-up after the webinar, asking you about all these inputs you can provide to the activities of the first steps of a step up. Okay, so he had a lot of questions to continue their work in this first part. And okay, Graham, can you take the floor?
I did not.
Okay, it was not. You were not. I can see now his response. So yes, we can go ahead. I think we saw a lot of.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yes, and so.
Should we move to the next one?
Yes, please. We have still 3 minutes for this part.
The second question of the first poll is, what potential positive impacts should these innovations seek to achieve? Yeah. So the first question you were asked about innovations. What do you think these innovations are going to bring? I mean, feeding, animal welfare legislation, breeding, new technologies, precision livestock farming, which is also new technology. Carbon sequestration, biogas, if I remember well. So yes, but what do you think will be coming? Reduce methane emissions, of course, biodiversity, increasing biodiversity, improve productivity, welfare, absolutely. Well, we can combine perhaps methane with other carbon emissions, probably. Reduce emissions. Yeah, there are many that are quite the same. We will compile them afterwards, no worries, to make more strong. Cloud. Okay. Profitability is coming. That's good. It's also part of sustainability, as was mentioned before by David. So, yeah. Okay, it's 49. So I think we can move to the next speakers, or to the next block of a speaker. So we are supposed to, we'll share with you the results of these polls, of course. I'm going to share again my screen and introduce Aine Macken-Walsh from Teagasc. We are going to talk about now and what's up, the next step up. And just to let me find again the presentation. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. So Aine, the floor is yours, and after Aine, we will have Ryan McGuire from Queen University of Belfast and Laurence Smith from Swedish University of Agriculture. The three of them will explain first the next steps of a step up. Aine, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anna. And we have just 4 minutes each to describe.
Exactly.
So I'm going to be really brief and try and emphasize what perhaps might catch your interest. So you've heard these acronyms, ELPS and ILPS, and essentially ELPS are European livestock production systems, the type that we're all familiar with. And then the ILPS are innovative ones. And we hope to select a good selection across Europe that should have elements within them, that should have features and characteristics that will inspire the future sustainability of European livestock farming. So we're going to undertake case studies of the dominant production systems that we're all familiar with and identify any gaps in information that exist in relation to those. And then we're also going to undertake case studies in depth of the more innovative examples. And these innovative examples are also going to provide like a living laboratory, a test bed for a lot of the work across Step Up to test new ways of capturing data, metrics, indicators of sustainability, that kind of thing. You'll hear about that in a moment. So what we're really interested in, next slide please, Anna, is if you can give us some ideas in relation to these ILPs, because we want to create ultimately the output overall of Step Up is a dashboard. And if you can just show these examples, please, Anna, by clicking. These are examples of dashboards that are usable by various different types of people in lots of different sectors. These examples here are simply images generated by Google of user-friendly dashboards that people can interact with to get information about the sustainability of European livestock farming, whether a policymaker, whether it's a farm advisor trying to find a new technology or practice or system that is more sustainable. So the intention is that this dashboard for Step Up at the end of the project will be very user-friendly and of interest, of great interest and usefulness to the end user. So next slide, please, Anna. So at the moment, what we're trying to find out from you today is, do you have any suggestions for the case studies we should take to generate this really interesting data that then we will share with people using the dashboard? Now, this is a QR code and it's not a poll, so it's different to the QR code that you received previously. So if you could scan this and in your own time after this meeting, please propose an innovative system that you know about. You don't have to fill in all the information, just the required information highlighted in red. But if you could please nominate a system you believe the rest of European agriculture could learn from. And I've just put in case anybody has a difficulty with the hyperlink, the link is also in the chat. You can navigate directly to it. And I'm almost out of time. So the next slide, please, Anna.
No, that is for Ryan. That's
so
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aine, for respecting the time. That was fantastic and very comprehensive too. So Ryan, you are around, right?
Yes, I am indeed. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Shall I begin?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay.
You have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning, everyone. Good to be here. So this particular work of Step Up is centered on indicators, developing new indicators which can measure the impact of sustainable European livestock production systems, or ELPS, as Aine previously referred to. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, if I was to visualize this particular work, as I said, the work is centered on new indicators for ELPS across different European livestock production systems, including ruminant systems and monogastric. But the key focus of this particular activity is to co-create these new indicators. So not just to accept what the science is telling us, but to reach out to you as stakeholders and through various different approaches, co-create new indicators which reflect sustainability in European livestock production systems, but also measure sustainability in European livestock production systems, including with policymakers, industry, of course, farmers, and even at the consumer level. Next slide, please, Anna. So in this work, when we consider new indicators, we will focus on 6 particular impact categories or 6 particular focus areas. And as I'm listed at the bottom of the screen, these include nutritional life cycle assessment, crucially important area when you consider the health benefits of eating animal source foods. Second is economics. Third is social. Fourth is animal health and welfare. I noticed someone in the Q&A mentioned the focus on animal health. Well, we do in this particular work. Fifth is biodiversity. And 6 is slightly different, which is post-production and how that affects sustainability at the farm level. Next slide, please, Anna. So our stakeholder engagement in this particular activity, as I said, is all centered on co-creation of indicators, and we use one particular social science method called the Delphi method. I'm sure most of you have heard it before, but it's essentially ranking or weighting the importance of particular indicators, and we will reach out to many stakeholders in this activity to do such. So just to keep that in mind. Next question, please. Next slide, please. Sorry. So just a snapshot, really, or a sample of what this Delphi method may look like when we're working with you. So it's a Likert scale, so it's a ranking system. Given the level of importance you would assign to particular impact categories or indicators reflecting the impact of sustainability and livestock production. Just a few examples, such as animal health, farm health and safety, and labour productivity. So we will create these, looking at the science, reach out to you, and get your scores or weights or ranks in terms of their importance. Next slide, please, Anna. We will also allow you a chance to create your own. So if we're wrong, which could be true, you can take the chance to create your own impact categories and your own indicators and rank them accordingly. And that information is vital for Step Up. Next slide, please, Anna. Just a few sentences on the breadth of stakeholders that we hope to reach out to, spanning across government, the private sector, civil society, and research. Of course, all types of livestock production, dairy, beef, pig, sheep, goats, etc., and of course, representees across the supply chain, from feed supply right through to meat processing, transportation, etc. Next slide, please, Anna. That's my last slide, I think. Yeah. In terms of the impact of creating new indicators, we want to create new and novel indicators to evidence the true impact of European livestock production systems. So yes, there'll be indicators which reflect the adverse impacts of livestock production, but also the positive impacts of European livestock production. We want indicators to be practical and applicable at the farm level. As I said, key focus here is co-creation with yourselves, and use this, as David referred to influence future policy making for European livestock production. And I think that's me, Anna.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, there is also something perhaps to add for the audiences, that this is intended to be done also thinking about the new farm sustainability data network that replacing the accountancy one. So we are not forgetting what's already in place or starting. So Laurence, please.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, very
Great.
well.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So, yeah, good morning, everyone. So I'm Laurence Smith. I'm at SLU, the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, and I'm leading Work Package 4 in Step Up, which is about the development and application of holistic methods to quantify the impacts of livestock systems. And just as a quick shameless plug, I'll also mention I'm coordinating the Pathways project that David mentioned earlier. So that's a sister project to Step Up. We're also working with the development of holistic approaches for livestock systems. Next slide. Yeah, so in Work Package 4, our focus is very much on developing and applying improved methods for sustainability evaluation and true cost accounting. And we're basing this on life cycle analysis as one of the most established methods for sustainability evaluation in agri-food systems. And the reason we're doing this is because it's become the mainstream approach, really, in terms of looking at identifying trade-offs across the value chain. So LCA is a very comprehensive approach that looks at all of the impacts from mining of resources through to production of inputs and on-farm impacts as well. So through this very detailed approach, we can identify hotspots within supply chains within livestock systems. And you can see the popularity of LCA studies on the bottom right here in terms of how many have been published over the last 15 years. So we'll be applying improved LCA methods to learn from innovations within innovative livestock farms, so within these ILPs that were mentioned earlier, but we'll also be looking at the impacts of future scenarios and their implications for sustainability. Next slide. So through the innovation assessments, we plan to sort of look at identifying what works in different contexts, essentially. So we'll be looking at comparing livestock systems by geographic unit, livestock type and farming system, and looking at essentially what we can learn from different management systems, breeds, feeding systems, and other innovations across areas like marketing and organization and production. Next slide. And through this process, we're going to be delivering metrics and models for assessing livestock systems that can be used beyond the project as well, and sort of really be a useful tool for policymakers. And a key aspect of this is the incorporation of the true cost accounting approach. So we're really keen to develop this and sort of advance the method within Step Up, as we think it's a really useful tool for sort of communicating the positive and negative impacts of livestock systems. We'll also be looking at working with the global farm metric as an underpinning framework for looking at the sustainability of livestock. And this is an initiative that was started about 7 years ago that's now a partnership of around 100 organizations that provides these sort of 12 categories of sustainability, and this holistic framing is sort of underpinning the work within WP4. So we have a couple of key questions that we'd really appreciate your input on, and one of those is, what criteria should we use to disentangle the metrics that we apply for sustainability evaluation of livestock? So we really want to hear from you, how can we distinguish between the good, the bad, and the ugly when we're looking at different methods for assessing sustainability? The other aspect we'd really like to know is, how can we communicate this complex message of trade-offs with diverse stakeholders? Because obviously when we're looking at these different categories, we have to be careful about how we communicate, not to sort of confuse the message, so to speak, or to cause unintended consequences. So any ideas you have around how we can communicate holistic impacts effectively would be greatly appreciated. So yeah, that's it. And thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laurence. And so I'm going to, I stop sharing my screen again. And we are going to, the group of partners have a lot of questions for you. We have a new pool. I remember that this question will be addressed in a follow-up email to see when do you want, how do you want, can you contribute to the project, or also asking for people, scientists, livestock farmers, organizations that can have this input. So Remark, can you go ahead with the pool too,
Yes,
please?
sure.
And you can also add all this information in the QA box if you want already. Thank you. Sorry, Remark, go ahead.
So here is only one question for this pool, and if you could please provide us, if you know any, innovative livestock production system, so we could use those for our case studies.
Okay. Don't be shy. We see that we are typing, but it takes a bit more of time than just typing a word in the previous pools or selecting species. We can wait a bit more. So go ahead, please. a bit more complicated question. Okay, first one. Good.
And just to mention, Anna, these are places or farms that you know are clusters of farms.
Yeah.
For instance, they might be funded by an EIP, European Innovation Partnership. They might be a particular type of research farm or demonstration farm. Or a living example, a place,
Exactly. Yeah.
a system that is working. And sometimes, you know, if you might give, you know, where is it located? Does it have a name? What's its address?
Wow, that's here we have now more
Yeah,
details.
we're
But
getting
as Aine said, you can just mention a location and a name, and as I said, this is just the first step of many other ways to exchange with you and other stakeholders that are not present today. Okay. This is something that we can also discuss and propose in the QA box and discuss at 11:15 after the two presentations coming from Viktoriya and Claire. Okay, good. Okay, somebody's typing, still typing. Can still wait 1 minute. No, I should. Okay, you can still type. The question is still open. And yeah, thank you very much. Again, this is not a lot of Portuguese around. Super. Thank you very much. Let's move to the next presentations. I have to share my screen again. Viktoriya from Thünen University. Sorry, Viktoriya Sturm from Thünen Institute. Oh, sorry, I noted badly. It's going to present now. I suppose you can see my screen. The floor is yours for 4 minutes, Viktoriya. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. So yeah, welcome everyone. Also from my side, my name is Viktoriya Sturm, Thünen Institute in Germany, and I lead the work in package 5, so it's numbering usual in some projects. And this piece of work is concentrating on modeling and estimating aggregated effects. So let's look further. Next slide, please. So what we are doing, I will mention here 3 main activities we are doing. So the first one is estimating aggregated effects. So of course there are a lot of previous slide, please.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why.
So of course there are a lot of information available already on the livestock. And we compile different data on European livestock using it. And then, of course, we have a lot of information, detailed information on farm level, for example, generated within the Step Up project. For example, values of different indicators for specific species, farms, production system, and so on. And we compile all this information and try to get the overall picture, to estimate, calculate aggregated effects. So going from the individual farms or regions and scaling up to national level or to the level of the whole EU. So it is one activities we are doing. Then another one, Laurence had also already mentioned, is we putting attention to the monetization of impacts and externalities. So we really want to know the price in euro, dollars, or so on for specific external effects, the costs and benefits. So positive as well as negative, both of them. And that could help to calculate the true cost of animal-based products in Europe. These two activities, calculation of aggregated effects and monetization is done for current situation, what we have now, And we want to do it also for the future. The next slide, please. But of course, not all information needed for it is available now. So we need additional tools. And how we are doing this to make future projection for livestock sectors and markets for animal products, we use models. So in economy, it's a bit different as in animal science nutrition. We cannot use experimental laboratories. We cannot say what is happening if you introduce this or another policies. We should to think about this in advance and try to evaluate it using different tools. So we will have 3 models in this project that are operating on different levels and have different focus. And then they will be combined. And in doing so, we will simulate different scenarios. So for the future, how it will look like. We have here the link already to work Arnd had presented, what actually was already evaluated within other foresight studies, what our stakeholders also have advised us. And using all of these, we will formulate scenarios and simulate these developments using models. In doing so, we want specifically pay attention to diversity of farming and production system. And for this purpose, we will also enhance model. In this content, it is very important the work also of identification of typical farms, what we should really consider, what is important in this case, and to pay attention to it. And we will also focusing on different special resolution, for example. We will deliver some results on the NUTS 2 level, on the member state level, and for the EU at the total. Next slide, please. Yeah. And what we are going to deliver. So we want to quantify the performance of the whole EU livestock sector. We will have these aggregated results, but also insights and detailed results.
Viktoriya, if you can wrap up.
We will have analyze trade-offs and synergies and show possible contributions of different drivers. They are listed here: technology, management, policies, behavior, and so on. And in doing so, next slide, please, we will very appreciate if we get input from you. So let's do it together. We will need some feedback on modeling framework, but specifically, we were interested to get your feedback on our results with a focus on specific regions, species, farming system, or impact of different policies. So we will very appreciate to have input here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Viktoriya. Claire, your last one.
Yes, so good morning everyone. So I'm Claire Rogel-Gaillard from INRAE, working in France. So the aim of work package 6 is to assess, it is on the assessment and conditions of implementation of scenarios for European livestock systems within a safe and just operating space. So I'm going to go back on this concept of SGOS. So our work package in brief, 3 main parts: to elaborate, assess, and also identify conditions for implementing scenarios that could lead to more sustainable livestock systems. The aim is to embrace the concept of safe and just operating space for EU livestock and to consider both resource boundaries that will contribute to the safe of the space and fairness for all stakeholders that contribute to the just part of the space. So on the next slide, I'm back to see to this concept of planetary boundaries. So it is a concept that was raised by the Stockholm Resilience Center, and in 2009 there were 7 boundaries assessed and 3 were crossed. And in 2023, meaning also in 2024, 9 boundaries are assessed and 6 are crossed. And if you look at the different boundaries, actually livestock systems contribute to all of these boundaries. On the next slide, I'm going now deeper in this concept of safe and just operating space, because combined with this concept provided by the planetary boundaries, have been added the social foundation for sustainability of the systems. So here on this frame, you have the outer circle that includes the safe aspect with all the biophysical constraints corresponding to the planetary boundaries that must not be transgressed. And you have the inner circle corresponding to the just with social objectives that must be satisfied and respected. So it is a combination of this safe and this just that provides this concept of safe and just operating space. So the aim is to operate and to identify livestock systems that operate in this safe and just operating space. So on the next slide, just to be very brief, so we have 4 main objectives. So first, we have to define what a safe and just operating space for EU livestock is. And then we have to elaborate also scenarios of interest based on existing and emerging trends and drivers. So of course, we will cooperate with the first work package where there is a long list of scenarios that are being identified. And then we will have to position the scenarios within the safe and just operating space for EU livestock. And we will cooperate with work package 5 for the model systems, but also work package 4 with the LCA. And the aim is, of course, to provide recommendations and tools in support of public policies and stakeholders to position the livestock systems within this safe and just operating space. And we also collaborate with another project that use a safe and just operating space for agri-food systems as a whole, that is Bright Space. So on the next slide, you have the different timeline we have, and it would be very great for us to have your feedback at different periods of the project. So we are now defining the safe and just operating space for EU livestock, meaning that we work on the dimensions, the different dimensions for the safe and for the just, and there are many political issues on the value threshold values. So it is very interesting to discuss with you on these values. And then we will have to identify scenarios of interest to be assessed. So what are the best scenarios based on the ELPs and the combination and the aggregation that we have also to think about. And then we have this step of assessment of scenarios with what scenarios are the best and what scenarios really operate in a safe and just operating space. And all along the project, we have also to work on advice and recommendation. So our request is to invite you to share, challenge, and co-construct propositions on the dimensions, also the indicators, and the best scenarios to assess. And we plan to organize a meeting on our first deliverable, safe and just operating space, early in 2025. So it is an opportunity for you to jump into Step Up. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you very much. So now we are going to move to this part of QA, question and answers. I'm going to stop sharing the screen because it will be much nicer to that you can see everyone here. So if you have questions, you can fill it in the question and answers box. We already answered to 3 of them. I mean, not 3, but 2 of them from Diana. And you can, you can fill the questions. You can also raise your hand. That was done before. The time is now to exchange with you. There were very concrete questions from partners that were taking the floor right now, and how you can contribute, you or other stakeholders, you know, to the definition of the European livestock systems, to the innovative livestock system, to the modeling of economic modeling, to define the safe operating space, Claire, operating space, and many others. I mean, Arnd was asking for very concrete studies, also foresight studies in Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe. So yes, if you know, if you think that you can contribute, if you think that something is lacking that was not addressed, of course we couldn't talk about the whole project. It was just a summary. There is something lacking, just please take the floor or fill on the question and answers box. Don't be shy. We have still some minutes. 6 minutes to respond to your questions, concerns, suggestions. As I said, we will make an email, a follow-up email, and this is the first opportunity to engage with the consortium. I don't know if you have seen, but Aine put on the chat also the link to the survey for the innovative livestock production systems. So also you can open it to see what it looks like, and perhaps you will have a question about it. Nope, everything was crystal clear. Well, I think also there are many questions that needs development and asking to colleagues, probably on partners or to national organizations, farming organizations, NGOs, etc. That will be respond later. Valerio, do you want to take the floor a couple of minutes? I know you are still there.
No, yes, I'm there, but my video.
Yeah, I know.
I must apologize that I'm
no
not.
worries.
Well, my video is not working. No, I mean it was very much interesting, and it would be good to have more. Well, we will have more information on all the points that have been taken and mentioned today. With regard to the last point about modeling, and well, I understand you are going to improve some of them. No, you mentioned the AGRI method and the other one, the MAF-SEU. But if I'm not wrong, I mean there is something that is missing about the economic impact, which is quite important. So I guess that during the course of the project, probably this will be tackled, or this model will be improved, or other model will be used. I don't know. And then together also with my colleague Jean-Charles, we were wondering if the project, especially in this regard with the modeling, is in contact with the GRC, because they work, well, you know that they work on the IMAP, etc. So I guess,
yeah,
well, just a question if you're already in contact with them, because this would be also an added value for you and for them also. Thank you.
Anna, may I reply shortly for that? So regarding the modeling, the two of the model, the AGMEMOT model and CAPRI model that involved in this project are already in EIP list. And for example, they are also used, we are in contact with GRC, and these models are also used for make some assessments. And for example, AGMEMOT model is also regularly used to provide input for midterm outlook that is produced by DG AGRI.
Yes, so, I know. Yeah.
Okay, super. Well,
this is more related to the market aspect, no? If I'm not wrong, the AGMEMOT to the productivity, commodity supply, etc.
AGMEMOT provide mainly prices, development of the market, but also prices. But for example, CAPRI is also providing information on income.
Yeah.
So some aspects are covered, but yeah, we still have to improve.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, we still have 2 minutes, no questions. So I will ask the more, I will say that the more urgent inputs are for what we call the work package 1 for Arnd. So perhaps we can give the floor to Arnd to ask him, when do you wish to start to get inputs from stakeholders? Perhaps it's a good way before going to the conclusions and the last pool with David. And do you want to respond? Yes, you're not. Yeah, now you are.
I think there is a question on the question.
Yes, I'm going to take it. Thank you.
Sorry.
I wanted to ask Arnd.
Thank you, Anna, for the opportunity to say that yes, we would like to start, or we are working currently, and we would like to get inputs from you, from the stakeholders, as soon as possible. So we are in the middle of it.
Okay.
But as you said, there will be a follow-up mail and contact with you. And I understand that most of the questions that I placed today cannot be answered spontaneously, but
we have a question.
More preparation.
But we have a question for you, Arnd, from Diana again. Well, congratulations for the work and blah, blah, but thank you, Diana. She would like to know if you have agreed on definitions for intensive and extensive farming. And if yes, if yes, what was the methodology or the basis for that?
I'm just writing it down because I don't know whether one of my Spanish colleagues is here, Ines or David.
No.
Because to be honest, I don't know
Ines
that.
is around.
I was not involved in this. Can Ines
can you talk and respond?
Ines has her hand up there.
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
She is here.
Okay.
Go
okay,
ahead,
perfect.
Please.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Yes, we base our information on the document that Pathway prepared. So we have a definition or what we consider like intensive or extensive. I don't know if that answered the question of Diana or if she wanna go further.
Yes, okay, thank you. But we will put you in contact with Diana because that will be very insightful for the whole project anyway. So that's she's very active in general, not only today. So we can put you in contact with her. So well, without more delay, I would like to give the floor to Remark for the exit pool and to David Kenny, the coordinator, for the conclusions, I would say, and remarks. But yes, Remark should share with you the last pool.
So, do you see my screen?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. We move to the last poll of the day. So this is really about how you want to engage with us and what was the most interesting of the things we have discussed this morning, and in which way you will be able to contribute or you would like to contribute.
And Anna, maybe while people are collecting their thoughts, I can just give the last few comments.
Super, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so look, I suppose on behalf of myself and the entire Step Up team, I want to thank sincerely everybody involved with saying this first, stakeholder engagement event that we've held. I think it was, very useful for ourselves, would say, even as a group, to synthesize our thoughts again, but particularly would say in terms of our first effort to kind of engage with our stakeholders who I think it's fairly clear from all of the work that was outlined that absolutely the multi-actor approach, the stakeholder engagement is critical to the success and ultimately the impact of Step Up. So I'd like to sincerely firstly thank Valerio, Jean-Charles and their colleagues at DG AGRI, for their participation today, but also for their support and ongoing support, would say, for this project from its very inception. I want to thank sincerely again my colleagues, all the work package leaders, put a lot of effort in putting presentations together and summarizing those, succinctly in terms of, I suppose the vision, would say, for the individual parcels of work. I also want to thank Anna, would say, for for her expert facilitation of the event today, and her colleagues, particularly Shala and Remark, for the Trojan efforts they put together, over particularly in the last number of weeks to bring this event together. And I suppose ultimately yourselves as stakeholders, that the whole purpose or raison d'etre of today's event, and of the Step Up project overall is interaction, engagement with yourselves, and the different, I suppose, concepts like co-creation were mentioned today, in various, we want to co-create a vision, I suppose, a future vision for you know, a European livestock production system or systems that will not alone meet nutritional requirements, would say, for high quality food, sustainable, traceable, healthy food for our population and the global population ultimately that we export to, which is absolutely, again, the main reason, we'll say, that we're keeping livestock, but also one that can be conducted, we'll say, in an environmentally sustainable fashion, that we will do no harm and hopefully do, you know, further improve, we'll say, our surroundings and our environment, you know, particularly issues like water quality and the like. So really, you know, I just want to again thank everybody involved, and you know, this is just the first step. So please, you know, engage with us. Please, you know, complete the online questionnaires, and we will be in contact maybe with specific groups of, you know, those with specific expertise on an ongoing basis from today onwards. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. And some interesting inputs into this exit pool on how stakeholders can contribute to the project. So that was really super. There will be still a stay open remark. That's right. I'm not mistaken. Yep. Okay. So even if we say bye-bye and thank you for attending, this will be still open in your smartphones or laptops. Okay. And see you soon. Thank you very much for all the participants, the attendees, the speakers, and see you soon. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Valerio.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Very much.
Thank you.